So, you've been thinking about going into music but don't know whether it's for you? There are a lot of different things to consider, and you might not have solutions or answers to all the potential roadblocks, but it's surely good to be aware of them before venturing out. That said, here are my top 5 things to consider for starting your musical journey. Mental health. Whoa, I know, a big topic to dissect first, but there is a lot of talk about mental health in various industries, and surprise, surprise, the music business is absolutely no exception here. I'm not the biggest fan of buzzwords, but I believe resilience has to be mentioned here. The biggest obstacle to making it might actually be you. And here's why. You are releasing your craft into an overcrowded market, and apart from success, this can be hit with things like ignorance, i.e. no one listens to your songs, or aggression, people venting about their perception of your songs. Both are not easy to deal with, and speaking from experience, both will be experienced. Being able to deal with putting a lot of work into something and then not seeing what you envisioned is difficult. The problem is the human brain will, over time try to self-sabotage, trusting less and less in your ability to create beautiful works of art, and thus you might create less beautiful works of art. It's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy. This is where resilience and trusting yourself comes in. It's a skill worth honing, and there are many good books and talks that focus on that specific topic alone as well. Interestingly enough, there have been many breakthroughs for artists when they least expected it, so there is no fixed formula to that. The main takeaway here is to stay strong, and of course, things will work out over time. Making money takes time. But that takes us to the second topic, money. It is highly likely that it will take a while until you see some money coming in, at least, sustainable amounts of money. And that makes the mental health topic even more difficult to deal with. What I suggest, if possible, in your individual situation is to plan, spend and budget out over a while, assuming that you will not see immediate returns on investment. People often give this same advice when going into content creation as well. Surprise! Either you will need to have savings that can see you over a difficult period, or if not, you will at least have to have a plan as to how you can finance the very first stretch. And what costs am I talking about? Well, there's things like, studio rent, hardware costs, mixing and mastering, advertising costs, etc. For a lot of these things, you can find rates or good advice online, which actually makes it easier to plan out in advance. True fans stay with you. Next point is about building a following, and it is important to invest into your fan base. As to how someone becomes a fan, that's almost secondary, be it through, say, concerts, social media, or other interactions. It's more about, keeping up the connection to your fans. There are many ways to give engaged people more of what they like special perks, Patreon-style funding, broadcast channels, etc. That said, building a fan base does take time too, but it's potentially one of the most important things to think about when starting out. Truly devoted fans will carry your music out into the world, giving you a multiplying effect that you would not achieve otherwise. Limits are often a good thing. So you might think, okay, money is difficult, fans are difficult, getting heard is difficult, how does this ever pay off? And the answer is that limits and constraints are very often a good thing, and often a blessing in hindsight. The reason for what is focus. Without focus, humans tend to get lost in the ample possibilities, and sometimes this can feel nice, admittedly, but when it comes to making decisions or moving forward with something, the less options you have, the better a decision you will be able to make. Imagine the following scenario. You have 500 different instruments to choose from in order to create one track. Should you opt for going through all these 500s, you will A, be insanely fatigued at the end, and B, none the wiser, because how do you find the best instrument out of 500? Now imagine you have 3 instead. Much easier to decide on. And maybe, none of these 3 is the perfect choice at first, but once you settle on one, you might find a way to use it so that it turns out to be the perfect choice. If you look at the history of some famous businesses, you'll find that some of them only ever took off once there was only one option left. Too much creative choice can and will impact your growth. No excuse for low quality. No, I'm not talking about whether your music is good or not. I'm talking about the quality of your tracks. It's easier than ever to create something that sounds pretty decent with absolutely modest equipment. You can record almost everywhere, some places to even add a vibe. Maybe it's gonna be your trademark down the line. If you consider that there are tracks that millions of people listen to that have been created in bedrooms, on a phone with no speakers or on a laptop keyboard, you'll see that your means to creating songs should not hinder you from writing a killer track. And there's so much access to tutorials and such, like on this channel and many others. There's a wealth of information and great communities out there. Learn and never stop learning. You know, there are a lot of things to consider, but I am a true believer that the more you know beforehand, the more you can prepare yourself. The more you prepared, the smoother the ride's gonna be. And the payoff, well, the feeling that once the gears properly start working is beyond incredible. And with that, see you next time.